In 1995, a man robbed 2 banks in Pittsburgh in broad daylight. No mask, no disguise. He smiled directly at the security cameras. When police arrested him that same night, he was genuinely stunned. His defense? But I wore the juice. MacArthur Wheeler had rubbed lemon juice on his face because lemon juice works as invisible ink. And so, by his logic, it would make his face invisible to cameras. He wasn't crazy, and he wasn't joking. He had tested it with a Polaroid beforehand. He was simply catastrophically wrong, and completely confident at the same time. That combination, total confidence, total incompetence, caught the attention of a psychology professor named David Dunning, and the question he asked would become one of the most famous findings in modern psychology. Why don't incompetent people know they're incompetent? Here's what Dunning and his graduate student Justin Kruger did in 1999. They gave Cornell students tests of grammar, logic, and even humor. Then they asked each student a simple question. How well do you think you did compared to everyone else? The results were beautiful and a little terrifying. The students who scored at the very bottom, the 12th percentile, meaning almost 90% of people beat them, estimated they were in the 62nd percentile. They didn't just think they were okay, they thought they were better than most of the room. Meanwhile, the top performers did something strange too. They slightly underestimated themselves. The people who knew the least were the most confident, and the people who knew the most were full of doubt. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. And before you smile at those bottom scorers, this isn't a story about stupid people. It's a story about all of us. Because here's the mechanism, and it's brutal. To know how good you are at something, you need the exact same skills you'd need to be good at it. Think about that. To judge whether a sentence is grammatically correct, you need to know grammar. To recognize a brilliant chess move, you need to understand chess. So when you lack a skill, you don't just perform badly. You lose the ability to see that you're performing badly. Dunning called it the double curse. The same gap in your knowledge hides the gap from you. Incompetence doesn't feel like incompetence. It feels exactly like competence. That's what makes it so dangerous. You've seen this everywhere. 93% of American drivers rate themselves above average, which is mathematically impossible. New employees who finished one training module and now talk like they run the industry. That guy in every comment section who watched a 20-minute video and now argues with actual scientists. And the 4 most expensive words in investing. I know what I'm doing. It shows up in places with real consequences too. In job interviews, the least qualified candidates often interview the best, because pure confidence reads as competence when the interviewer can't tell the difference. In meetings, the loudest voice in the room is rarely the best informed, but it's the one everyone remembers as decisive. And in hospitals, studies have found that the doctors most confident in their diagnoses are not reliably the ones getting them right. The world doesn't just tolerate confident incompetence, it promotes it. But here's where it gets interesting, because the effect has a shape. Picture a graph, confidence on one axis, knowledge on the other. When you learn a little about something, your confidence rockets straight up to a peak. Climbers call this Mount Stupid. A weekend of crypto videos, 1 psychology course, 3 tutorials in a new programming language, and you feel unstoppable. Then you learn a little more, and the ground disappears. You start seeing how much there actually is. The exceptions, the edge cases, the entire fields you didn't know existed. Your confidence crashes into what's lovingly called the valley of despair. And from there, the only way out is the long, slow climb, where confidence rises again, but this time it's earned, and it never quite reaches that first ridiculous peak, which explains the flip side. Why do genuine experts underestimate themselves? 2 reasons. First, experts finally see the full size of their field. They compare themselves to everything left to learn. But second, and sneakier, once something becomes easy for you, your brain assumes it's easy for everyone. Experts think their knowledge is common knowledge, so the beginner feels exceptional and the expert feels ordinary. Psychologists see the same pattern in imposter syndrome, that nagging feeling that you're a fraud about to be exposed. If you've ever felt it, notice the irony. Doubting yourself usually means you know enough to see what you don't know. The imposters never feel like imposters. Now, a quick honesty break, because this channel is about real psychology, not internet psychology. Researchers still argue about Dunning and Kruger's original numbers. Some statisticians say part of the pattern is a measurement artifact, that even random noise can produce a version of that graph. That debate is genuinely unsettled, but the core finding has been replicated for over 2 decades in doctors, pilots, debate teams, chess players, and medical students. And the mechanism, that judging a skill requires the skill itself, has held up. So the honest summary is, the mountain may be smaller than the memes suggest, but it's real, and you have absolutely stood on it. So, how do you protect yourself? Because you can't just decide not to be biased. Remember, the whole trick of this effect is that it's invisible from the inside, but there are 3 tools that actually work. 1. Seek feedback that can hurt, not compliments, collisions with reality. Test your assumptions where they can actually fail, and treat criticism as data instead of insult. This is why pilots have check rides, why surgeons have peer review, and why good writers have brutal editors. They don't trust the view from inside their own head. They've built systems that force reality to get a vote. Wheeler's mistake wasn't the lemon juice. It was that his one test, a Polaroid probably misaimed, was designed to confirm what he already believed. 2. Use the confidence alarm. When you feel absolutely certain about a topic you picked up recently, that feeling is not a green light, it's a smoke detector. Real expertise almost always comes wrapped in qualifiers. It depends. In most cases, we're not sure yet. Watch what happens when you press a real doctor on a diagnosis. You get probabilities, differentials, and a referral for a second opinion. Press the wellness influencer, and you get total certainty and a discount code. The confidence is the tell. Beware of anyone, including yourself, with a simple answer and absolute conviction. 3. Keep learning past the peak. The fastest cure for Mount Stupid is more knowledge, not less. In the original study, there was a beautiful detail that almost nobody quotes. When Dunning and Kruger trained the worst performers, actually taught them the skill, their self-estimates dropped. Getting better made them realize how bad they'd been. Competence bought them self-awareness. So push through until you can say precisely what you don't know. The moment you can name your own gaps, you've escaped the trap, because the double curse only works in the dark. And none of this is new, by the way. When Dunning and Kruger published their paper, they opened it with a line Charles Darwin wrote back in 1871. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. A century before that, philosophers were saying the same thing. Socrates built an entire career on one claim, that he was wiser than others only because he knew that he knew nothing. 2,400 years of smart people leaving us the same warning, and every generation climbs the same mountain anyway, because knowing about the trap has never been the same as feeling it. Here's the final twist, though. Everyone watching this just thought of someone else. The coworker, the uncle, the guy in the comments. Nobody thought, ah yes, that's me. But statistically, some of us were the bottom quartile, feeling like the top. That's the real lesson of Dunning and Kruger. The bias you can see in everyone else is the one you should hunt for in yourself. True intelligence isn't knowing everything. It's knowing exactly where your knowledge ends. So the next time you feel 100% sure, pause and ask the question MacArthur Wheeler never asked. What if I'm wrong about being right? If this made you rethink your own mental blind spots, subscribe, because on this channel we draw out the psychology behind why you do what you do. Next up, the psychology of people who think too much. See you there.